Hey guys. So, I gotta tell you about the wildest date I ever had. I thought it was just a normal, cute night out with my boyfriend, but nope, it turned into something straight out of a drama series. It all started on a Friday night when my boyfriend texted me, "Hey babe, wanna try that new restaurant downtown? Heard it's really good." Of course, I was excited. We hadn't had a proper date night in ages, and I was ready to look cute and enjoy some food and laughs. I got ready, did my hair, picked out a nice outfit, feeling myself, you know? When he picked me up, he looked extra charming, dressed up and all. We drove over, and the vibe was perfect. The kind of vibe that makes you think maybe this relationship is going places. We walked into the restaurant, and it was actually really fancy. Dim lights, cozy booths, soft music playing in the background, the whole romantic date mood. I was feeling special. Then he said, "Wait right here, I'll grab us a table." I was sitting, scrolling through my phone, when I noticed her. The waitress. She came over with a menu, and I swear, my heart dropped a little. Because I recognized her. It was the same girl he'd mentioned once before. You know, that friend he said he had from work? The one he said was single and just a buddy? Yeah, turns out she wasn't just a buddy. She was his other girlfriend. Her smile was too familiar, and the way they looked at each other? Something was definitely up. My stomach twisted, but I kept my cool. I mean, what was I supposed to do? Just explode right there? Nah, I wanted to know what was really going on first. So I acted casual. I asked her about the specials, ordered my food, but inside, my brain was racing. How long had this been going on? How many dates had he brought me to places where she worked? Did he really think I was that clueless? And the worst part? He was sitting right there, grinning like nothing was wrong. That's when I decided, enough was enough. I wasn't going to let him play me like a fool. I was gonna confront them both, right here, right now. Alright, let me back up a little and explain how I even started suspecting something was off with this guy. Because honestly, I'm not usually the type to jump to conclusions or get jealous over nothing. I try to give people the benefit of the doubt. But with him, little things just didn't sit right, and eventually, they piled up so much I couldn't ignore them anymore. At first, everything seemed pretty normal. He was sweet, funny, and we had some really good times together. He'd surprise me with little things, a text during the day, a random coffee, or just making me laugh when I needed it. I thought maybe this could actually work out. I mean, who doesn't want a boyfriend who's kind and fun, right? But then, as time went on, some weird little things started creeping in. He'd cancel plans last minute a couple of times, and the excuses were kind of lame or didn't really add up. He'd say stuff like, "Sorry, I got caught up at work," or "feeling kinda sick," but then I'd see him pop up online on social media, tagging other people or posting stories from places he never mentioned going to. I tried not to overthink it at first. I told myself maybe he just forgot to update me or was busy. Sometimes, phones don't get signals or messages get lost. I gave him the benefit of the doubt. But it kept happening. There were days he just wouldn't answer my calls or texts for hours, and sometimes even a whole day. Then, I'd see him tagged in posts with this other girl, the same one he'd mentioned as a friend once or twice. She worked at a cafe nearby or something, and he always said they were just friends, nothing more. But the way they acted on social media didn't feel like just friends to me. One afternoon, curiosity got the better of me. I decided to check his Instagram stories, just to see what he was up to. And guess what? There she was, tagging him in a bunch of restaurants and parties. They were laughing, getting close, and the way they looked at each other in the photos wasn't the just friends kind of look. It was flirty. Couple-level flirty. I started paying closer attention to their interactions, the comments, the DMs that would pop up when I happened to be around his phone, little things that didn't make sense. My gut was screaming at me, but I still wanted proof. So I did what most people do when they feel suspicious, a little snooping. I know, not the healthiest, but when your heart's involved, sometimes you just have to find out. I looked through his tagged photos, messages that weren't deleted, and found pictures of them looking cozy, smiling in a way couples do, hugging, and sharing inside jokes in comments. There were even some messages that seemed way too flirty for just friends, like cute nicknames and emojis that clearly meant more than friendship. That's when everything started clicking in my head. The missed calls, the cancelled dates, the secretive texting, it all made sense. But still, I wasn't ready to confront him without real proof. I didn't want to be that crazy, jealous girlfriend making wild accusations without facts. I needed to be sure. One night, when we were just hanging out, I casually brought it up. I asked, "Hey, what's going on with you and her? You seem pretty close." He just shrugged, smiling like it was no big deal, and said, "We're just friends. Chill out." But inside, I knew he was lying. I could feel it. The way he avoided eye contact, the way his smile faltered for a split second, it all screamed not telling the truth. Still, I kept quiet. I wanted to catch him red-handed, not just guess. So when he invited me to this new restaurant downtown, I decided I'd go along, partly because I trusted him, but mostly because I wanted to see if she was going to be there. And then, the moment I walked in and saw her serving at our table, all smiles, giving him those flirty glances, everything clicked. It was all real. The excuses, the missed calls, the sneaky posts, they weren't just coincidences. He was cheating, plain and simple. My heart broke, yeah. But oddly, I also felt this strange rush of power. Because now, I had the upper hand. I knew the truth, and he didn't know that I knew. I wasn't going to just walk away quietly. Nope. I was going to confront them both, right there and then, and make sure he understood that I wasn't the fool he thought I was. Okay, here comes the juicy part. Picture this, we're sitting there, and I'm watching their every move. The waitress keeps sneaking glances at him, and he's playing along like a kid caught with his hand in the cookie jar. I decided it was time. I took a deep breath and said loud enough for the whole table to hear, "So, is this your usual spot, or do you just come here to see her?" The waitress froze, her smile disappearing for a second. My boyfriend's face went pale. Then I added, "Because, funny thing, I didn't know he had 2 girlfriends until tonight." People around us started looking over. The vibe changed instantly, from cozy date night to full-on reality TV drama. The waitress tried to laugh it off. "Oh, come on, it's not like that." I cut her off. "Really?" "Because I'm sitting here, watching you serve us, while he's been texting me all week saying he was busy." He opened his mouth to say something, but I wasn't done. "I trusted you. Thought you were different. But clearly, you're just playing games." The tension was so thick you could cut it with a knife. I didn't care about the scene or embarrassment. I wanted honesty. And if they wanted to lie, they'd do it in front of everyone. The waitress then dropped the act. She admitted they had been seeing each other for months, on the side. My boyfriend stammered, trying to explain himself, but honestly, what's there to explain? He lied. He cheated. And now, he was caught. I told them both I was done with their lies. I wanted out. Some people stared, some whispered. The restaurant staff quietly watched. I grabbed my purse, stood up, and told them, "Thanks for the dinner, but I don't want anything more to do with either of you." After that dramatic night at the restaurant, I thought maybe I'd finally feel some relief, like a weight lifted off my shoulders. But honestly, the feelings I woke up with the next day were way more complicated than that. It was this messy mix of anger, sadness, and that sinking question, how did I let this happen to me? I kept replaying the whole scene in my head, the way she smiled at him, the way he looked back at her like she was the only one in the room, completely ignoring me. It stung more than I expected. I felt betrayed, embarrassed, and honestly, a little foolish for not seeing the signs sooner. The next morning, I made up my mind. I wasn't going to let this slide or pretend like everything was fine. I grabbed my phone, took a deep breath, and texted him. I kept it short but clear. I was done. No more games, no more lies, no more pretending everything was okay. Of course, he tried to fix things. His messages started pouring in, apologies, explanations, and promises that it just happened and that he still cared about me. He tried to make it sound like it was some mistake or moment of weakness, like he hadn't meant to hurt me. But honestly, I wasn't buying it. His words felt empty, and I could almost hear the lies hiding between every sentence. I didn't reply after that. Instead, I did something I never thought I'd have the courage to do. I blocked him everywhere. No calls, no texts, no social media. Just completely cut him off from my life. It was like closing a door on a chapter that I was done reading. As for the waitress, yeah, the other girlfriend, I found out later she quit that restaurant. Honestly, no surprise there. I didn't want to run into her either, and I'm sure she wanted to avoid the drama too. Part of me was a little curious about what she was thinking, but mostly I just wanted to move on and forget about all the mess. When I told my friends what happened, their reactions were all over the place. Some of them were shocked and said things like, "Girl, how did you not see this coming?" I guess from the outside, it looked obvious. But some others cheered me on, saying, "Good for you. You handled that like a queen." Those words helped me more than they probably realized. But deep down, it was hard. For a while, I even questioned myself. I wondered if maybe I was the problem, if I wasn't enough or if I had done something wrong. But after a lot of thinking, I realized the problem wasn't me. It was the lying and betrayal that came from someone who was supposed to care about me. That's what hurt the most. Once I started accepting that, I decided to focus on myself. I spent more time with my friends, people who actually cared and lifted me up. I started hitting the gym regularly, not just for my body, but to clear my mind and build my confidence. Slowly, I began rediscovering who I was without all that drama clouding my life. It wasn't easy, and there were days I still felt sad or angry. But with time, I grew stronger. I stopped thinking about what I lost and started thinking about what I deserved. And what I deserved was so much better than a boyfriend who played me, lied to me, and disrespected me. Looking back now, I'm proud of how I handled everything. That night was painful, yes, but it also became the turning point I needed. Sometimes, the worst moments push us to become our best selves, and that's exactly what happened to me. So, after going through all of that chaos and heartache, what did I actually learn from this whole crazy experience? Honestly, a lot. It wasn't just about a bad boyfriend or a cheating story. It became this big lesson about trust, self-respect, and strength that I needed to hear all along. First off, I learned to trust my gut. You know that feeling you get when something just doesn't feel right? The little voice inside that tries to warn you. At first, I ignored it. I kept telling myself, "No, he's a good guy. Maybe I'm just being paranoid." But that voice, it was right all along. Sometimes, we don't want to admit the truth because it hurts, and we hope things will get better. But ignoring those red flags just made everything worse. So now, I tell myself, and anyone who'll listen, to never ignore that gut feeling. It's there for a reason, and it can save you from a lot of pain. Second, I realized it's okay, actually, it's necessary, to confront the truth even when it's scary. When I first suspected him, I wanted to run away from the problem, pretend it wasn't happening. But that only made things worse. Facing the truth head-on was hard. I had to admit he was cheating and that our relationship wasn't what I thought it was. But once I did that, it gave me power. It was painful, yes, but it was also freeing. Because living a lie, or staying in a relationship built on lies, is so much worse than facing the truth, no matter how hard it hits. Another big lesson: never settle for less than you deserve. I wasted too much time trying to make something work with someone who clearly wasn't putting in the same effort. If someone isn't treating you right, if they're disrespecting you or making you feel less than amazing, you have to walk away. It might feel scary or lonely at first, but it's the only way to make space for something better. Life's too short to settle for anything less than respect, love, and honesty. And here's the one that surprised me the most: you're stronger than you think. When I broke up with him, I was terrified of being alone. I thought loneliness would swallow me whole, that I'd be stuck missing someone who didn't deserve me. But what actually happened was the opposite. Being alone gave me a chance to reconnect with myself, to figure out who I was without all the drama and lies clouding my mind. I started doing things I loved again, hanging out with friends who truly cared, and learning to enjoy my own company. That scared feeling? It slowly turned into confidence and peace. Being alone isn't a punishment, it's a gift, a chance to heal and grow. I also learned that healing takes time. There were days when I still felt sad or angry, when I doubted if I'd ever trust someone again. But with each day, I got a little stronger, a little more sure of myself. I started loving myself again, flaws and all, and stopped blaming myself for someone else's mistakes. Now, I'm ready for something real. No more secrets, no more games, no more pretending everything's fine when it's not. I want honesty, respect, and someone who truly values me for who I am. And if that means waiting longer, so be it. Because I know now that I'm worth it. So yeah, this experience was painful and messy, but it taught me more than I expected. It taught me to listen to myself, to stand up for myself, and most importantly, to never settle for anything less than I deserve. If you're going through something similar, just remember, you're stronger than you know, and the best is still ahead. Okay, here's the fun part. After all that drama, I didn't just sit around feeling sorry for myself. Nope, I decided to take control and turn the whole thing into something I could laugh about, even if it still stung deep down. I remember texting my close friends and making a little joke, guess I'm the only girl who got a double date without even trying. I mean, how wild is that? My boyfriend took me to a restaurant and his other girlfriend was the waitress. It was like a bad rom-com, except it was my real life. Somehow, making light of the situation helped me breathe a little easier, and my friends were there to cheer me on. Then, I got a little bold. I started sharing the story online, at first, anonymously, because who wants to be known as the girl whose boyfriend was two-timing her with a waitress? But as I typed it out, pouring the whole crazy experience into words, something amazing happened. People started responding. They shared their own wild cheating stories, heartbreaks, and messy relationships. Suddenly, I wasn't alone anymore. There was this whole community of people who had been through similar chaos and come out stronger. That connection made me realize something powerful. Sometimes, our worst experiences can actually bring us together in ways we never expected. Instead of hiding or feeling ashamed, sharing the truth helped me feel less isolated and more empowered. To keep the mood light, I even made a meme out of the whole thing. It was a silly picture of me, nothing fancy, just a snapshot with an eye-roll expression, and I added a caption, "When your boyfriend dates two girls but forgets you know about both." It got some laughs and shares, which felt pretty good. It was like saying, yeah, he messed up big time, but I'm still here, still laughing, and still winning. As I thought more about it, I realized this story wasn't just about betrayal or heartbreak. It was about something bigger, my power to stand up for myself, to speak out loud, and to take back control of my life. It was about not letting anyone else's bad choices define me or hold me down. So if you're watching this and going through something similar, if you suspect your partner isn't being honest or you're feeling hurt and confused, here's what I want you to remember: you're not the problem. None of this is your fault. You don't have to put up with lies, disrespect, or secrets just because you love someone. You deserve honesty, loyalty, and respect, no questions asked. And you are way stronger than any cheating boyfriend or messy situation. I promise you, even if it feels like your world is crashing down, you have the power to rebuild it better and stronger. It might take time. It might hurt for a little while. But there's a whole life waiting for you, full of real love, real friends, and real happiness. Sometimes, the best revenge isn't drama or confrontation. Sometimes, it's just living your best life. Showing up for yourself every day, growing, healing, and proving that you're unstoppable. So, laugh a little, cry if you need to, but never stop believing in your own strength. Because if I can get through a double-date disaster like that and come out smiling, so can you. Thanks for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more real-life drama and juicy stories. Have you ever been in a situation like this? Share your story down below. I'd love to hear from you. And remember, always trust your gut and never settle for less than you deserve. See you in the next video.